When putting together this new direction for the series, the main issue the crew had to remedy was the stagnation of the show's writing, trying to keep coming up with new and inventive ideas that were able to stand on their own without feeling like rehashes of earlier concepts, while also staying true to the characters and the world. This initiative turned out to be deceptively simple, because the overall aim was to find some way to generate fresh story ideas without undergoing any major shake-ups to the basic setup of the series, else they risk tarnishing a near 20-year-old winning formula. Many shows in this position tend to resort to adding new members of the main cast, which, while that method can be successful, more often than not these additional characters feel forced when brought into an established group that have already had years developing their chemistry. The staff making SpongeBob fully understood that they could not mess with the primary characters, especially not after all the work they had just put into making them consistently likeable again. Instead, they did something I don't think anyone saw coming. They started devoting more storylines to previously tertiary characters such as Karen or Mrs. Puff, while also bringing back iconic one-offs from previous seasons as new recurring characters. The prime example is Bubble Bass, a fan favourite character who was introduced in the Season 1 episode Pickles as a rival of SpongeBob, where he proceeded to make a few short appearances in other early stories before disappearing until a sudden cameo in a random Season 8 episode. Then starting in Season 9B, he was being included in storylines regularly again, exploring his home life and relationships with the other characters, though while still maintaining his obnoxious and antagonistic personality. Let me put it this way. In the original run, SpongeBob, Squidward, Patrick and Mr. Krabs were the main characters who were central to most episodes. Then Gary, Sandy and Plankton were the secondary characters who appeared a good amount of times per season. Then Mrs. Puff, Pearl, Larry and, debatably Karen, were the tertiary characters, who had one or two major appearances per year but most of the time just got cameos. Then when Season 4 rolled around, Sandy and Plankton got promoted to main character status, while Mrs. Puff, Pearl and Karen got bumped to secondary character status, which was great for them, but it left this void in the cast where the longer the show went on, the more this once bustling town of undersea life started to feel empty. The show had Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy as well as the Flying Dutchman, but those appearances were very rare. Then take a look at how the series operates now, where SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Sandy and Plankton are the main characters, Mrs. Puff, Pearl, Karen and Gary are the supporting players, but then you have Bubble Bass, Larry, Fred, Norman the Mailman, Old Man Jenkins, Rube, amazing! Lady Mildred, Uptown, CCC, XXXIII, and a whole slew of others. They even went so far as to make the French narrator a fully realised character.